Welcome, people of the world. May I have your attention now. You will be glad you did if you give your attention to this moment. When I look at humanity and the struggles that human beings go through, I cannot but just pity the situation of man. The state of man in this present day and age. But right now, I have something very vital to pass across. A very vital piece of information that will surely help everybody in creation. I said help, and I mean help. Help is not assist me in what I am doing. That is not help. Help is not support me in this venture that I am into. That's not help. Help is when somebody who has struggled so hard has gotten to a point where he is so confused that he doesn't know any more of what to do. Then he cries out for help. And when that help arrives, what the cry for help means automatically is that you hand over to the one who knows what to do, because you have so far done so much and it hasn't yielded the results. Those desired results that you don't have and you cannot have, the one that has them is your help. That is the perspective with which I'm using the word help. So don't think that it is to help you continue or to win what you are doing, to fine-tune what you are doing. No, what you're doing has no direction to where you will get desired results. The human race was not a race that was created by human beings themselves. So it has to be the one who brought about humanity that will send help. And that's why I said you will never regret giving your attention to this voice to actually receive this piece of information, because it will help. First of all, I want to make reference to certain parts of the writings in your Bible. And before I do that, I want to make this clear. What this is not about Christianity. It's not about religion. So whatever religion you belong to, just keep it out of this occasion and listen. First of all, the Bible was not a writing for Christians. It's only Christians that took it to identify with it as what forms their religion. Everything written in the Bible refers to mankind, human beings, man, humanity, everybody. So it's not a religious writing. And secondly, it was not written for men to carry and read, because there's nothing in it that you can understand the perspective. It was not meant to be understood. It was written so that the one who has the duty to perform the things that are written in it will perform them when he comes. And by the time he arrives, it will never be necessary for him to make reference to the book. He will never make reference to the book, because The book was already written about him and the things he has to do. So when you, that it's not your business to perform the things that are written in it, carries the book, everything will just be a show business. That's why an account in the Bible showed where when the one who is designed to function in the event, in the things that are written about him comes, he will show you. He went into where, he had to go into where they are gathered with the book. He didn't come with a book, but he just demanded that one who has the book bring the book to him. So he opened where it is written, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me to preach the gospel to the brokenhearted, to heal the sick, to do this and to do that, to bring redemption to humanity." He said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me." He's reading it from the book, but he's telling you the right things refers to him, me. And then he handed the book back to the one holding the book. He didn't bring a book. He didn't bring any writings, but he just read what is written about him and then gives you back the book. Now, it's not you it's written about, but you have the book. It's not you that's been anointed, but you have the book and you are reading what's written in the book. Both you and the book, without the anointed one, what are you going to achieve with it? Just tell me. And so, when I say the Bible was not written for men to carry and do what they are doing today with it, you will understand what I mean. Back to the references I want to make to that book, the Bible, the writings. In John chapter 1, verse 18, I think that's where it is. John 1:18. It's written there that no man had seen God at any time. No man had seen God at any time. The only begotten of the Father, the only begotten Son of the Father, the only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he had declared him. What's that statement supposed to mean? Before I reiterate back into that statement, I want to make this statement clear to all of you. There is no such thing as no man can see God. There's no such thing. What you have is no man had seen God at any time. And that is so because it has to be so only for as long as he has decided that no man will see him yet. That is not to say no man shall ever see God. That's not what it means. And that is why it's a misconception that he creates in humanity so that they cannot discover the things of God. That's why he makes them reason things the way they reason them. That's no reasoning of God. That's no reasoning of the perspective of creation. That's no reasoning that comes from the plan for which those things were written. That's because the tendency for man to be ambitious enough to want to know the things of God for himself prompts the spirit to create a limitation by reason of sin, so that whatever you read as you carry the book, which is originally not meant for you, you will misconstrue it, you will misinterpret it, and you will misconceive the applications. That's exactly what he wants to achieve, and he has achieved it perfectly. So that his secrets will be buried as secrets, waiting for the one who he will reveal them to apply to the world and be the help that man needs and will have. So there is no such thing as no man can see God. That's what your people will tell. That's what men will tell you. That God is just somewhere. He's invisible. He's some kind of space, air. You know, that's the way God is described. But that is not who God is. So you have in John 1:18, no man had seen God at any time. That's because it will be so only for as long as he chooses to keep it that way. But someday he will be able to let someone to see him. And let some men, some people, some humans to see him. That is when help begins in a generation. Therefore, take note of this part, that yes, that no man had seen God at any time had been because he had not let any man to see him yet. And therefore, if no man had seen God at any time up to the moment of the now, where do you know God from? How would you ever know what you have never seen? And therefore, if you consider that expression, you will understand that the God every man cries to, he does not know him, because you have never seen him. You cannot identify what you don't know, what you have never seen. You cannot look for what you have never seen. And therefore, let it be clear, very clear, that expression you have, that no man can see God, is wrong. What is written is that no man had seen God. And that is because he has not let any man see him yet. Because if he must help a generation, he must be around to be seen, so that a generation can know and can hear from him, know about him, know from him what they ought to do, and see changes from the influence that he carries as God. So it says, no man had seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he had declared him. What is that supposed to mean? It means nobody can identify God. He will identify himself and then let you know him. It's as simple as that. The second reference I would like to make, which defines the program of creation, which of course I will take time to explain in perhaps another episode, perhaps another moment of information that I would give out. It's a reference in Romans 8:19 to 22. In that account, you will see where the declaration there says, for the earnest creature, for the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of God. I don't want you to misconceive that statement. He said, the earnest expectation of the creature, which is you, human beings, the human beings, humanity in general, every human being on the face of the earth. He said the earnest creature, the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of God. The next one says, for the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of he who has subjected him in hope, not willingly, but by reason of him who had subjected the creature into that vanity state in hope. That hope is not the hope that the creature has. That's what you must know. Because no matter how much hope you have, if the one who designed the hope does not actually determine to come do something about it, your hope is useless. So the hope is in he who designed that program. Now, what's important in the reference I'm making for you is the fact that every program of humanity, the struggles you go through, were designed from the beginning that you will never succeed. So when you see the failures going on, you should understand that is the program. There is no way, if you reason rationally, that you would believe that a government will work to fail. Nobody does that. Right from the inception of governance, when the system of governance was put in place and men began to function in it, there had never been any time that they gather in their summits, in their meetings, in their security meetings, in such forums to discuss issues just to run down their country, just to run down their people, just to run down the people they lead, run down their nation. No such thing. They don't meet to create insecurity. They don't meet to create lack in the people. They don't meet to create scarcity of resources. But they just realize that in spite of all the meetings and the summits, the trend is that the thing just run downwards. The downward drain, the downward trend. Things go worse as the years run by. That's not because they are at fault. That's because that's the program. And I want you to understand what contradicts that program. That's your effort. It is because you are making effort to want to be the ones to bring solution to your existence. He didn't design that to be. You cannot bring solution to your existence because you didn't bring yourself into existence. He brought you into existence. And he had a plan in his program on what to do to redeem you. But he already knew that the instincts that run in you will make you be so ambitious to know things that bring solution that will turn you into seeing yourself as God. And he wants to make sure that never happens. So he puts a seal at the first phase of having made you, having created you as man, to give you that limitation that no matter how much you put in as an effort to bring solution to the problems, he initiates. He initiates the problems. You don't. You just try to evolve through them. You try to see what to do to resolve the problem, to dissolve them. But you can't. There's never a problem the Spirit creates that men were ever able to eradicate. They just contain them and they live with them. There was no disease in a system, in a society that has ever been eradicated. They always keep repeating, which means they exist there. That is so because of the power of who is in control, the Spirit of creation, the Lord. The Lord is the overall spirit of creation, not God. God, just as man is the spirit he has brought in to live in humanity. So man is not you. Man is not the human being. Man is the spirit that the human being is containing, and it is in everybody. It is manipulating what everyone does, because that's the only way he has to subject you to how he expects you to be and to remain until he releases the one who has to be help to you. Therefore, my information to you might just be the help you need. That's because I want to introduce you to something that you will never hear anywhere else except from this voice. And that is for you to know who God is, because until you know who God is, you cannot know how to find him. You cannot go looking for what you don't know. How do you locate it? How do you even identify it when you locate it? First of all, you have the knowledge of the identification of the thing that you are looking for before you can know that that is what it is when you locate it. You may not necessarily know where to locate it, but you need to know what it looks like first, what it is, so that if by reason of your roaming around you stumble at it, you can now by chance say you are lucky to have found it because you knew it, even though you didn't know where to find it. So knowing it, identifying it first is important. And that is the emphasis that every of my information, no matter where it begins from, will center around, so that it can at least help to reduce the lack of knowledge that is driving the flow, driving the activity of humanity, even beginning from the highest authority, the highest hierarchy, the leadership, which of course the followership is looking up to foster solutions for them, but they don't have it. The unfortunate situation also is the fact that they don't want to accept that they don't have it. Let me tell you this. The government is not the people. Government is not the people. The president is not the person that is there. The governor is not the man that is there in that office. The man is in the office of the governor. The president is not the person that is there, the man that is sitting there. The man there is in the office of the president. So the question now is, who is the president? Who is the governor? Who is the leader in all these offices that men are actually appointed into? The person that is there is a spirit. And that is why no matter the goodwill you come in with, all your efforts are all thrown into a confused state. And there is chaos all the time. That's not your fault. That's the program. The program is that he will not allow you to sit in an office that he created for him to know who he has designed to bring solution, and then you become the person taking that glory. He will never allow that. So stop wasting that time. Stop wasting that effort. Stop wasting the people's efforts. Stop wasting resources. It will not work. What will work is when you put that effort to a proper channel of first accepting to drop your ego, accepting to drop your arrogance, accepting to drop your achievements. It is a system he created. You didn't create it. You're only evolving through it. And the more you think your evolution through his system can grant you a time when you'll be successful enough to be seen as the one who brought solution, It is a wild goose chase. Like they say, a white elephant project, which means you can never find an elephant that is white. So it will never happen. So the government is what he instituted. He established it as a system. And then let humanity function in it and be busy while they are waiting for when he brings the final course of action for solution. That is God. That brings me back to having to explain the origin, how God is born. How God is born. I want to first reiterate and emphasize, agreeing with one of the persons that I've listened, I've watched, a number of persons that have agreed with that ideology, that discovery, that insight a little bit, that the Bible is not the Word of God. That's correct. They've all agreed in consensus. They say the same things, they make the same references, they make the same point, that it is paper and ink. Paper and ink cannot form the basis of the Word of God. The Word of God has to be a person. And the Word of God, having to be a person, cannot be a human being that is made in a dead state because of sin. So the Word of God, being a person, has to be God himself that will speak his words. And I would like to add this to that school of thought, that words can never be written. When I speak and you write it down, it is no more a word, it's letter. And the letter killeth, the letter killeth. So words are perpetually spoken. Once they drop and they are written, that is letter. You cannot carry letter and turn it into words. You would only read letter, and letter would always work as letter, dead. So the letter killeth means the letter is dead. The double tragedy is that you take even the Bible that is letter, and then you are trying to convert it into life when you yourself don't even have the life. So what do you use? What do you use in yourself to convert the letter? So it's not possible. It's blocked. It's sealed. But there's a way out. What's that way out? The very one, the Lord, the Spirit of the Lord himself, who had declared in Isaiah that the Lord himself shall give you a sign. He is a spirit. He brought humanity into existence out of nothing. Nothing. And he didn't need anything to do that. He is the one who will bring God, and God will be with you as a human being. So God is not a man does not refer to the fact that God is not a human being. It only refers to the fact that when God is made to appear before you, to be born in your midst, do not treat him like a human being. He's not a man. Don't treat him like a man. He's not a man like you. He is God. And his ways will not be your ways. So when you see such a person whose approach to everything contradicts everything you people say and do, that should be a perception of beginning to search. Could this be the one? And we never know. Because he has to be in your midst. Now look at the events that are trending. Horrifying events. Yet, it is just the beginning. Remember, when you read about the events that marks the signs of the end to you, according to you, While you are looking at the events and they are trending and they are increasing in their risk of danger, just know that there is the one who should stop them, but you have ignored him. There is nothing as dangerous and as most annoying to the spirit that he has taken a sacrifice to make himself available in your midst to stop your calamity, to stop your pain, and you ignore him. At this point, I'm sure my message is clear, even to your leaders. Look at yourselves. You are looking for a leader who will lead you within yourselves that are all dead. You are looking for a leader who will lead you in spite of the fact that you are all dead in a world that only death exists. There is no life. That is why he said, I am come that you might have life. He would not need to come if you had life already. It has to be that you don't have life. So what do you have if you don't have life? Death. Death. What is death in its sense? Death is the state in which every man is born because of the input of sin to limit you from using your ambitious attitude, your ambitious consciousness, your ambitious pursuit to seek to know what should be for God. That is why he gave you that state. So death is not when you sleep off. You are not breathing. No. That is the sign that when you were born, you were dead. So that point is the point of sleep. And that will prompt me to tell you the word sleep, the state of sleep, is more dangerous than the state of death. Because when you sleep, you have no chance again to change the things that brought you to that state. It is only in the state of death, because in the state of death, you are living, walking, talking, lying to take rest through the night, waking up in the day to go carry out activities, but in a dead state. So that is the state that you have a chance to correct everything that should prevent that state of sleep from happening. Do you think it's not possible? There is a provision for that. Today, men are afraid of death, but they don't know how to stop it. Yet there is a provision, but they are not given to know. It is given to the one who has it. And it is time to look for him. Until you find him, the spirit that imputed death will never leave you out of it. It will be worse. There is a provision he has made with the one he approves. That one he approves. That's the one that when you identify with him, every counsel he gives you sends signal to the spirit that is causing the crisis to stop those crises over you. Until you connect to that, you have no chance. So death is the state that man is living in until he sleeps. Death is the state that man is living in the midst of all his activities. They are a constitution of death. And no man can stop it. No human being. There is no human force that can stop that. It is the force of God. And that force is granted God by the Lord. That is why he tells you, I am the first and the last. The first is man, which he used to introduce creation into his universe. And the last is God, which he would also use to perfect creation in his universe, because his intentions for man, his plan for man is that man lives forever. But man cannot live forever as man. He will live forever as God, but one will come to fix that in. One will come to fix that in. That is the one that everyone has to look for. So the Bible is metaphorically written in a way that, first, it is a program that he designed to come and perfect in his creation, and inclusively and ultimately in men. But he wrote it in such a manner that when men take advantage of it by reason of the institutions that he would establish for them to run with while they wait, they will never come to terms with understanding what he wrote. Instead, he will create more events, more convincing situations, more convincing sights. For example, I'll give you one clear example. You are made to believe that there was one Jesus who was the Son of God, born by one virgin called Mary, in one nation called Israel, and that it was the purpose that was meant to deliver a child into the world that would save the world. And what happened? They killed him. They killed him. Let me use that instance to go back a little and say a few things that might surprise you to know. First of all, God is who you have in your imagination as one that whatever he makes, what he creates, no man can destroy it. No man can kill it. No man can spoil it. And then you began again in the same consciousness you have about this God to say he created a world, first world, men destroyed it. He has to destroy the world with the men in it by flood. A world, you say, God, whose creation nothing can spoil. You are saying again that God created a world and then men spoiled it. Then God decided to now destroy the world since it has been spoiled by men and formed a new one. Now, let's say this is the new one that he has formed. But the fact that you are also saying that he sent his son to come and shed his blood to save it means even again men have spoiled it. And you are now saying at the state that it has gone even worse in your eyes, the God has sent his son to have shed his blood a second time, apart from a first time of destroying it by flood after men spoiled it. And then a second time that they spoiled it and he sent his son to come shed his blood. And this is a third time that you are still expecting him to come back again because it is already gone bizarre. Are you talking about that same God with that same power? Obviously, you don't know who God is. And that's because who you are talking about has not been shown to you yet. Because if God has the capacity, of course, which he has, because when he is made to be present with you, it will be shown to you that capacity. But because he has not been made to be present to you, you have not seen that capacity. But the one who is going to deliver that capacity to him has given you instinct, declaring in you by your instinct that that is who God is. Yes, that's his capacity. But he hasn't brought him yet. That is why I can challenge you with one simple question and put it to you, one conclusion. That there is no possibility of you claiming that it is God who made you when you can actually die. You shouldn't if he has. If you have to die, God has not made you. But something made you. That thing is not God. That's why what you have been calling It's not God. But then God was designed to be brought to you so he will make you. It is after he has made you that you can see the product that God makes, that truly nothing can spoil it. Nothing. And what makes it that level of mystery is the fact that he looks even more ordinary as a human. Yet, the force, the power, the authority that is attributed in him is insurmountable. You cannot stand against it. Yet he's human, looking like you, but he is not you. He is not like you. That's who God is. Therefore, you have to understand that the metaphoric writings that said to you that it's written as if a virgin gave birth to a child in this world, and that child is of God, and men could kill him, should tell you that could never have happened. And that's why everything written in the Bible is never history. It is written to prove men. Men claim to love God in their instincts that they have, but it is God who will come to prove to them that there is no love outside God. It is God who loves. It is not man. Man can only count on what he can gain out of the interest he shows on what he likes. But the gains that he makes will come out of the love that God lets to you to make those gains. So it's God who loves. It's not you. But he will come to prove you that you don't love anything. And so that metaphor is what you should just understand. It is not a book written about events. There are no names there used that are humans that existed. They are significance of what he will arrive in a generation and make happen as episodes in lives. So don't be deceived, even though you already are. And if you want to count on deceit, who is the deceiver? Human beings don't deceive. Every human being is born with one clear sense of unawareness. But as you grow, you begin to see that there is something that is being introduced into your system. How do you know how to deceive if the one who created you did not put what is called deceit in it? Do men create deceit? If you make reference to a Bible portion in John 19:11, that account is an account significant to what he has said. That account is an account where Pilate, when they brought Jesus before him, he was talking to Jesus and Jesus refused to answer him. And he said, "Are you refusing to answer me? Do you realize that I have power to crucify you, and I have power to let you free, to set you free?" And he answered, "You have no power to do any of those to me, except the power is granted you from above. And therefore, it is he who handed me over into your hands that had the greater sin." So who is the sinner? Who is he referring to as the sinner? The sinner is the Lord, who made man and imputed sin in him. So in this case, who is the deceiver? The deceiver is the Lord, who made mankind and introduced deceit to them. Because if he did not, there will never be any such thing that they will see to do. Therefore, How do you say he created this world and evil spirits came in? From where? I want you to understand that everything you refer to as evil, everything you judge as bad, everything you judge as devilish, satanic, that is satanic, it is him you are judging, and you are entering into more trouble. He sets humanity in the pace that they are running for his purpose. Keep your mouth shut. Stop judging one another. That is a sacrilege. You are calling upon yourself. You are causing a sacrilege. And you are calling bad judgment upon yourself. He knows the way he set the world is wrong, but not bad. It's just good for him. Because if he doesn't do that, you will be God yourself. Already, it is not far-fetched. Man has claimed to be God. They are still claiming. But they don't have the influence. They don't have the influence. The influence they have is subject to that of man. Dead state. Man that is a sinner can open the eyes of men who have lost sight. That's no big deal. That's no mystery of God. That is the mystery of the spirit of man. He can make a fellow man to open the eyes of another fellow man who cannot sight things. That is not what God does. God opens blind eyes. Eyes that are blind are not the same as eyes that cannot sight things. Eyes that cannot sight things are anxious to sight things so they can go into business, do things, follow others to enjoy the things of the world. That's what it does. So a man you see shouting and claiming the power of God in terms of man, a man trying to open the eyes of a man who can sight things, and suddenly the man's eyes open. That's no big deal, bro. That's what the trick of the spirit that created man decides to use and keep you feeling like you are busy doing important things. God does not open the eyes of a man who cannot sight things. He opens the eyes of the blind to see. That's the eyes that are inwards to understand. And let me give you an instance so that when you encounter God, you understand what I'm relating with. What I'm relating to. Eyes that are blind. I want to show you how they are opened. A man was said to have born blind, and the question is, whose sin was it that made this man to be born blind? And the question I will ask you is there any man in humanity that was born seeing? All of you. Is there any man, any child born from birth and you are seeing? Every man is born blind. That's the significance of that statement. So nobody has to sin to be born blind. It is the program of the Creator to let every man be born but blind, because sin is available to keep him blind. So even when you start citing other things, citing attractive things, citing human beings, it's still the state of sin in you. You are still blind, but you can just cite things that excite you. And then the limitation of those who, by virtue of some biological concepts, they can't cite. Then he now puts a game within men, most of which claim that it is the calling of the spirit. No, that's the instincts he gave them. You cannot be a false prophet if he does not raise you a false prophet. You are not a false prophet because you want to be a false prophet. Nobody wants to be a false prophet. But you will function as one because you have no choice. That's what's given to you. So if you open eyes that have lost sight, that is not a fantastic gift of God. It is now that you are hearing the concept that show that, oh, clearly, we have all been blind. That's when you know That the one that is busy, out of the fact that she has to shout and scream, as if he even has to do that. But he makes you, it's a jamboree. He's having fun where he is because he's just seeing humanity as a circus, because that's what he creates. I like his style because he has a lot of sense of humor. He just sees you displaying. And by that, you have made enormous gains. You can buy aircrafts. You have branches all over the world as a preacher. You are traveling all over the place. You're having recognition by people. I want to tell you, that is nothing before God. He says that which is highly esteemed of men, which includes the things that he has granted them to achieve by virtue of the spirit of man. He says an abomination before God. When it comes to God, you will see mysteries. The mysteries are the ones you see and you will know this is the finger of God. And to open your eyes a little into what God signifies. The program of arrival of God, the arrival of God from Genesis, shows you that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Let me touch a little into that. Creativity is an insight. When you see somebody who constructs a wonderful, beautiful looking equipment, you say the person is creative. In other words, he saw inwardly how that thing should look and operate, and then he started making it to bring it out. So creation is insight, it's not making, it's just seeing. So the arrival of God is in the midst of when people are existing already, which the Spirit has made. But when he brought God, because of the Spirit he has in God, God saw that there's something that is different from the earth state of humans and the heaven state of himself. So he saw that. And one of the things that you see as you read down, you see where he tells you, and God created man, male and female. So God saw that man that men had decided to tag as male is actually male and female. So man is the existence of humanity by the spirit of man, male and female alike. And the only thing that will change that state, because they need help, which will now bring the fact that God has come as their help to show them how to become woman, brings woman as the state of submission that the male and female has to give to God before the world can turn out perfect for them, good for them, sweet for them, painless for them. So much as man is male and female, even woman is male and female, but it is subject to a process that brings both to submit to God at the advent of his appearance before humanity, so that they can be saved. Are your eyes open now? Can you see where you were blind? That the fact that you call yourself man as a male and you are bringing the female to you as your help doesn't make any sense, because the account of man as male and female was already in existence as a pair of entities when he then went further to say it is not good that the man should be alone, but the man alone now is already male and female. So is he referring to male as man being alone, or male and female as man being alone without help? Which now brings him, God, as the third party that is the help they need to come to in dependence, so that they can have their life back in shape. That is one part of the mix. That is just one part of the mix-up. There are numerous of them. What you call marriage is not what God sees as marriage. Marriage is not what you are doing. What you call resurrection. That resurrection is not rising from the grave. That is not resurrection. But all that, your eyes shall be opened into, your blindness state, your blind state shall be redeemed from when you find him. I am saying my own because I found him. You go find him. When you find him, that's all. That's all. He will open your blind eyes. He will make you not to be lame. That's another aspect of it. He makes the lame to walk. He makes the lame to walk. The lame. The lame. What does it mean to be lame? When you give an idea that is useless, it's yet an idea, but they say it's a lame idea. Lame. That is because the idea will not work. Lame does not mean that you don't walk. Lame means you walk a lot all over the place, but it never brings solution. At the end, it's still death. So you're lame. So when he makes the lame to walk, you discover that you even see that you don't walk around anymore. And the little work you do brings enormous results, tremendous results, successful results, results that remove death from the equation. And life is constant. And this will finally bring me to making this clear. Life is not short. I hear men who say life is short. You have to make the best of it. That's why you have to make the best of it, because that's your consciousness. What can you make the best of from something that is short? Life is not short. Nevertheless, life is not also long. There is no such thing as long life and prosperity. Whatever, however long a thing is, it can only be as long as it would be. When it comes to life, it is neither short nor long. Life is eternal. It doesn't have a measurement time. Life is eternal. And when you have eternity, you have an eternity to fulfill everything. Why would you hurry? And that's why you have the saying with you that he gave to you. There is no hurry in life. But you hurry in your living because there is no life. It's death. So you're hurrying to achieve before you will die. So you don't have life with you. It's death, and it shows in how you walk. That is why you claim that life is short. That's because in your consciousness you think what you have is life. But what I want you to know that you are responding to is because the one who made you created you existing in an atmosphere that shows that there is no life, is death. And when it comes to death, it is death that is short. And when by virtue of some chance, you have a way of maneuvering yourself through it and it's keeping you longer than you expected to have existed, you just tag it, it is a long life. No, it's not a long life. It's just a simple long death. He granted you some time extra to enjoy the dead state. Yet, you have all tiptoed in your living with death, hoping to make it safe to death. How does that happen? You are so careful to live so that you would live in death. No, everything ends up in dying away. And therefore, what are you supposed to do to restore life? You are not the one to do that. You are the one to look for the one who has to do that. Are you ready to do that? That is the end of my sitting to sweat this much, at least to offer to you the bit of this information while I wait to see what you do with it. It is up to you to know what to do with it. But to me, is to be sure what I have not kept it to waste. There is no advert that I need to this information. I just need you to do something about it and be a part of how you get yourself ready to set your generation free. I hope you had a good listening.